Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to the Institute of Global Professionals free webinar. IGP is a brand platform where people from all over the world get connected here to learn together and gain knowledge and actuality. You can feed your skill and exhibit your personality. You can enrich your knowledge. So let's grow and learn together. Today I'm your inviter, Nasrunisha from Bangladesh, and I'm really proud to associate it with IGP. My dear lovely participants, wish you an amazing day and welcome once again. Before starting our program, my humble request to everyone to share today's webinar to your newsfeed, to your timeline, and likes our Facebook page and subscribe our YouTube channel. Also, you can tag your friends, family, and your loving one too. Don't forget to mention them. Dear participants, we successfully completed 482 webinars. Today, I'm presenting webinar number 483. The title is The Minds of Our Educators Today. Today, we have our honorable guest, honorable speaker from South Africa. So, let's welcome to our speaker. Good afternoon, ma'am.
Good afternoon. How are you?
I'm fine. How are you, ma'am?
I'm very well, thank you. I hope you can hear me well.
Yes, I can hear.
Thank you.
Ma'am, you can start your speech.
Thank you very much. So, to everybody, wherever you are in the world, I say good morning, good afternoon, good evening to you. Um, Thank you to IGP for this platform. And also, let me say, wow, this is number 483, and that is amazing. So we really have to congratulate IGP for the amazing work that they are doing, and thank you very much for having me today. So the topic for today is the minds of our educators today. And I want to break it down first because when you break things down, you tend to understand things more, and then you know what you need to do to make things better. So if our topic is the minds of our educators today, let's look at the word mind. What exactly does that bring to the surface for you? What does it mean for you when I talk about the mind? What exactly is this about? Is the mind about a thought? Is the mind about a mental state? Is the mind a mentality? Is the mind about you being mindful and a sense of mindfulness about things? Is the mind about how we create awareness about things? What does it bring to the surface for you? Let's pause there. In our title, we said the minds of our educators. The word distinctive connotation of what belongs to you. So when we say our educator, are we saying the educator belongs to us? Are we relating the educator to us? Do we have a relationship with this educator? And who is the educator? What is the link between you and the educator? Then we move on and we speak about the educator. What the mind of our educator today? Educator. Who is this? What is the role of an educator? There are various various notions of what people would educate on. Are we talking about school? Are we talking about tertiary? Are we talking about just somebody who does a lecture now and again? What is an educator? Who is an educator? What are the roles educators play? Then there's the word in the title, the minds of our educators today. That is an important word in what we're discussing. Today. When I talk about today, I'm not talking about just this date, 28 April 2022. When I'm talking about today, I'm talking is today. Everything about what is happening in the world today. Everything that is going on with people and their lives today. It is a generic of what is happening everywhere today. And now we link all of these words together. What exactly are we discussing? We're discussing how everything that has happened in the world, past, today, and what is going to happen, affects are trying to make the difference and teach everyone in every form, in every age group, how to cope, how to educate themselves, and what exactly is their mindset as they are trying to do this based on what is happening in their life and in the world right now. So let us look at this then. And we need to understand everyone knows the pandemic has hit us. Everyone knows it's hit the whole world with a force. And it's affected us in so many different levels. But today we're focusing on how it's impacted our educator. Not just the pandemic, but whatever came with the pandemic. And what are those things that came with it? Financial problems, escalated deaths of other educators around people, escalated deaths of children that those educators were teaching, psychological problems, family issues, schools that were broken down or torn down, schools that had to close because they had no funding, educators who might have even lost a job because there's no more funds available because the pandemic has dried everything up. So many factors impact our education systems around the world because of the pandemic. But that still links other people to the educator. We are talking today specifically about the educator and the educator's mind. We spoke so much around the world about frontliners being the armies, the police, the doctors, the nurses, hospital staff, everybody. But we need to also take time out and realize frontliners were also our educators throughout this process and still today. Why? Our educators had to convert themselves from just being a teacher who is educating your child. That educator had to become a psychologist. That educator had to become a police person. That educator had to become someone who is into health and a nurse. All of this together with still educating your child when they had to return to the schooling system. That is a lot that an educator has to deal with. And the one thing we all forget is that the educator is just as much a human being as you are. So the same way you are feeling the stresses of the impact of your life and what is happening in your family, what is happening financially, everything that is worrying you as a person, all of that still worries an educator. Whatever is hurting your mindset, whatever is affecting your life because your mind is so full of things, is also happening to an educator. Yet, the educator walks into a classroom, a lecture room, or wherever they do their work from, even if it is online, and all you see is a smile You see somebody who is warm, and you see somebody who is giving off the education that they can give to people and children to make a difference to their lives. You don't see the issues behind the mind of an educator. So today we have to say the frontliner, the one who is really deserving of respect and recognition throughout all of these things that are happening in the world, is still an educator. Our educators' mindsets have had to change so many levels. Yet, has a government anywhere in the world accommodated the education system to alter itself and accommodate for this new mindset of the educator? Have we given further training on how to empower our educators in terms of what they have endured? Have we offered any form of, whether it be psychological help or coaching or any form of assistance to our educators on how to have dealt with everything they've had to endure and how to still be coping with what is happening today? Or do we just assume? Do we just assume that the educator will be fine? The educator will just move along. I'm here to say, and I'm not saying every government is bad, I'm not saying any organization is bad, but I am saying we need to really sit back and take cognizance of what the role is that our educators play in society, in your community, in your home, because you have children going to a specific school or university. Do you realize that that educator is playing such a huge role in the life within your family unit as well? Because they do. When your child, for example, leaves home, goes to a school, you automatically feel that your child is safe because the child is in the school environment. Your child is with an educator. But remember, that is not a replacement of you. The educator does not replace you as a parent. The educator does not replace you as the guardian. The educator is not a replacement of anything. The educator is there to do their role and to play the role that they play. Yet somehow an educator plays a better, bigger role in the role of your child's life. Because your child tends to see in them what? In today's world, a child tends to see in an educator someone who is giving their time, someone who listens, someone who they can talk to. Why? Because in today's world, and that's what we're discussing, in today's world, every parent, every guardian, everyone is running a rat race to try and make ends meet with life's problems, with mind issues. So when this child is at home, how often is a parent or a guardian asking the child, how was school today? How are you today? What exactly is your favorite subject? What do you like and don't like? Who are your friends? What do you want to do? What is your opinion about things? We do not include our children. We do not talk to our children because we're so busy with so many things. Uh, uh, Generally, a parent is going to leave. They go, they do work for the whole day. They come home. The child comes home to a tired parent. The parent does not have time for this discussion. So what happens to the child? The child then becomes focused on what? Trying to outsource, where do I get this attention from that I need? Most times, sadly, it's from a screen, a stranger on a screen. Other times, it is from an educator that they see at school. Because when they talk, the educator is listening. When they have a story to tell, the educator listens. When they ask a question, the educator gives an answer. And they're not receiving this at home. So children are having to see an educator at a different level The vision in the mind of an educator for a child is not just an educator or a teacher. This is someone I can relate to. And I want us to, as parents who are listening, you, your child is supposed to be relating to you in that way. Yes, your child has to have a and love the educator and respect the educator. But that relationship and the time that they look forward to having needs to be with you as the parent or the guardian or the person the child is living with. Because the educator is not going home to your child. The educator still has to go home to their family, their children, their parent, and whatever is afflicting their family unit. So that teacher also has a life beyond the classroom. We need to respect that. They are also not getting enough respect for whatever they are doing. Children sometimes tend to feel they can speak back to the educator however they feel like. Why? That is somebody you need to really respect for what they are doing, for what they are giving off to you. And how often is it that when there are parent meetings at schools, you will find that a teacher, an educator decides, I want to see a specific child's parent to explain a small problem I'm having with the child. And when the educator tells the parent, this is what the problem is that is with the child, how often is it that that parent blames the educator or does not wish to acknowledge that that is the problem the child is having? They are so absorbed in life that they do not see anything that the child might do that is wrong. And they don't wish to take that responsibility as a parent anymore. They don't wish to take that accountability anymore. It is the educator that has to see to this. My child will never do this. My child does not speak out. My child does not bully others. My child will never do this. Yet you have an educator telling you this is what is happening in school. So it gets left on the side. It gets brushed aside because the teacher can only do so much. The child goes to complain to the parent. The parent then decides that the teacher is still wrong. Eventually, the child does something terribly wrong in school, has to get suspended or worse, expelled. And it is then investigated, and at a disciplinary hearing, the proof comes out that this is what the child has done. What then does the parent do? Then reality hits that, oh my gosh, yes, I was warned, I was given the third warning. I didn't know this about my child. Still, what happens? The child then gets put into a therapy, somebody who gives this kind of therapy. Therapy of that nature needs to be given to the parent as well. Because still the parent is responsible for the child. The child has to learn responsibility for the child, yes. The parent also has responsibilities and to be held accountable for the child's behavior, etc. Our educators have enough of their own to deal with the constant changes every day in the systems that they work in, with the classrooms that they work in, with whatever the world is throwing at them, between the wars, between the pandemic. Here in this country, for example, we now have a rise in numbers in the pandemic. So we're back to facing, we don't know what regarding the pandemic. But again, the educators have to be stable. The educators are the ones that are keeping the strong mind. The educators are the ones keeping it together. Yet they don't know what is coming next because they are facing environments where there is constant interaction with children from every type of environment that's coming to them. And we say hats off to our educators. We say our educators are truly demanding of respect. We need to really acknowledge the role that these educators play because the minds of an educator today are so filled with so many different negatives, yet you don't see the negative come through them. All you see is the positive in the teachings they offer. The one thing we need to learn, life has got to constantly give us issues to deal with. Life is going to always give us different problems to deal with. Life on its own is going to always give us challenges. You as a person right now in your individual capacity are probably facing some of them. Always remember, what is affecting your mind also has the same effect on an educator's mind. They too are human. They too have these issues in life. They too have had to deal with loss of life. They too have had to deal with loss in their family, financial problems within themselves, a loss of this and a loss of that. They've also had to deal with this. The mind of the educator today is also going through difficulties as much as it's anyone else in the world. And we have to say, how do we curb this? How do we help this? And I say it rests with each one of us. The solution sits with each one of us. Understand your role that is linked to the educational system. If I am a parent, what is my role with my child? If I'm the parent, what is my role with the educator teaching my child? If I'm the parent, am I involved in the school system? Do I go for parent meetings? Am I involved in the school structure? Do I know and understand the school system, how it is affecting the community I am sitting in? Get involved as a parent so that you know the responsibilities that come with you being the parent are met. If you are the child, and if you have a child, please teach your child that you are responsible for your child. One of the things that I do is empowerment of women and children, and especially I love to focus on youth development. But I want us to understand that the key to us empowering ourselves is not to become powerful. The key to you becoming an empowered child or an empowered adult, empowered parent, empowered educator is not for you to be powerful or your role that you play. Your empowerment sits in you growing yourself, developing yourself. And I ask that every organization, perhaps every governmental organization also, please look at also doing exercises to empower our children, empowerment of our youngsters in the school. And while we're doing this, empower our educators in their environment as time goes on, because they too need empowerment. And let us also learn to empower our parents. Every single one of us in our individual capacity out there in humanity needs to be empowered. Because each one of us has got to be the best version of ourselves. We have to understand ourselves. We have to know what we are doing that is right, that and what is wrong. Empowerment teaches you that. Because empowerment teaches you to be more mindful, to find out and be aware of what is wrong within you, to change that so that you can become a better you. That is what empowerment teaches. Need to teach this empowerment to our children from a younger age. We don't have to wait for our children to become older to have problems first and then learn to empower them. No. And by the same token, then, if we look at the mind of the educator today, our educators need to be empowered to be able to cope, because life is going to always throw us this. And if there's one thing the pandemic taught us, is that anything can happen at any time. Are you prepared? Are you prepared? And if you are not prepared, then how do you prepare? What is the coping skills? What is the coping strategy? How do we teach this? We need to empower our children, our youth, our teenagers, empower our teachers and educators, empower the parents. We need to empower each other, grow the best versions of ourselves, because that is the changes that have to come. There is only one certainty in life, and that is that there will always be change. I'll say that again. The one constant certainty in life is you are guaranteed that there will always be a change. Empowering yourself in the educator field and understanding the roles each of us play when it comes to the educational system. Empowerment of that sort is what is needed for us to learn how do we cope with the changes that are coming. So when we talk of the mind of the educator today, please take a time out and you think about the teacher that is teaching in the school of your child, the lecturer who is lecturing in the varsity your child is going to, anyone who is giving off any form of education. What is it that is going through their mind based on everything that has happened in today's world? What have they faced? How have you offered support to an educator? Have you ever offered support to an educator? Have you ever asked your child, how is your teacher? What is your teacher's name? Please become more involved. Our educators are really taking strain. They need our support in whatever way we can. Your little bit of support goes a long way for an educator. And if an educator asks of you to please help with certain things with your child, take the time and do it. Because remember, it's also building your relationship with your child. Your child needs your time, and you need to give the child the time. You do not wish for your child to want more time with the educator and choose that over you. Our educators who are listening, I really say I respect and admire your courage. I respect and admire all that you do. And I encourage our children, our youth, our parents, every one of us in communities and societies in every nation, to please do your bit and help the educators so that the minds of our educators of today are able to cope better, knowing they have us all as a support structure. Yes, we do have a few of the educators who go wrong in their way. The system deals with that. But we need to focus on the positiveness of what the educators give off, because the educators are dealing with the future. The future. The future is our children. The educators are dealing with the future that you are going to live in. It's still your future as an adult. And I will say this, and I've said this again. Our children of today are not leaders of tomorrow. Are not. I disagree with that. People always say the children of today are leaders of tomorrow. I disagree. I say that our children are leaders of today. They are preparing for tomorrow. They are preparing for their roles of the future. They are our future. And today they are leaders already in preparation for that future. And the educators of this world, are those that are preparing them and helping them to pave the way for the future. So ask yourself, as the parent or the guardian, what is your role in paving that way for the future? Because remember, that future of your child is also your future. So I want to just say thank you again to IGP for this fantastic platform. And I hope that something that I've said resonates with somebody out there, and we are able to work together to help the educator, to build the mind of the educator of today, to help do our little bit so that we are able to build a better tomorrow for the educator, for the child, for the parent. And remember, the mind of our educator for today needs our support in every way possible. Thank you to everybody. Thank you to the educators of today. And thank you, IGP.
Thank you so much, ma'am. This is a very valuable presentation for all of our participants, and thanks for coming in our IGP's platform. Ma'am, now we'll go to our quiz session. After the quiz session, we'll come back again with you in our QA session. In QA session, our participants ask their desirable question on topic basis to you.
Sure.
Thank you, ma'am. Dear participants, we'll start our quiz session after the quiz video. Welcome everyone. This is our quiz session. Uh, in the comment section, we give the link to enter in our quiz competition. So you can see the link in our comment section, and the quiz code is IGPQUIZ. So hurry up. Dear participants, join the quiz. You can see the link in our comment section, and the code is IGPQUIZ. This is very exciting level, so join first. You can see the link in the comment section, and the code is IGP. Go and click the link and get the code. We already have 22 participants. Join us up. Dear participants, you can see the joining link in our comment section. To join this session, you have to give the code IGPQUIZ. Without code, you can't add IGPQUIZ. I repeat again, the joining link is given in our comment section and the code is IGPQUIZ. We'll start this program within a minute. Join hurry. Dear participants, the code is showing in our screen. Code is IGPQUIZ and you can find the link in our comment section. We'll start the session within a second. So we started. Here is our first question. Progressive educators focus attention on learner or teacher. And the correct answer is learner. 93% get the right answer. Christina V. Del Rosario is on our leaderboard. And the second one is Dennis Guinto. In third position, Zima Vanillada. Our next question. Educators should diagnose mental health problems. Is it true? or false? And the correct answer is false. 33% gave the right answer. Michelle G. Katakutan is on our leaderboard on first position. Second one is Ricky R. Kolima. And third position, Daniela M. Atienza. Our next question. Educators will monitor group activity but will not blank group discussions. Is it assist or take over? The correct answer is take over. 83% gave the right answer. Ricky R. Kolima on first position in our leaderboard. Our next question. Good listeners clear their minds and listen for the entire message. Is it true or false? Correct answer is true. 100% gave the right answer. Michelle G. Katakutan on first position in our leaderboard. Our next question. Postmodernist educators focus on raising consciousness of social inequalities or cultivating intellectual virtues. The correct answer is raising consciousness of social inequalities. 52% gave the right answer. Daniel and Atienza on first position in our leaderboard. Next question. For exist, educators are freely chosen or absolute and eternal. The correct answer is freely chosen. 33% gave the right answer. Michelle G. Katakutan once again on first position in our leaderboard. Our next question. Educators have an important role in connecting students with appropriate services or diagnosing a mental health issue in youth. The correct answer is connecting students with appropriate services. 94% gave the right answer. Again, Michelle is on first position in our leaderboard. Our next question. Some YouTubers have a negative blank on young minds. Is it influence or outlet? The correct answer is influence. 97% gave the right answer. Once again, Michelle is on first position on the leaderboard. Our ninth question. Developer of realism, which says reality is outside our minds. Who defined it? Aristotle or Plato? And the correct answer is Aristotle. 65% gave the right answer. Michelle G. Katakutan is on first position on a leaderboard. Our final question. Master educators recognize that use of a guest speaker doesn't eliminate the responsibility to attend and participate or give the lecture. The correct answer is attend and participate. 66% gave the right answer. Michelle G. Katakutan once again answered the right answer and first position in our leaderboard. So here is our top 10 participants. Congratulations all. On first position, Miss Michelle. Second, Ricky. Third position, Joel. Fourth position, Maria. Fifth position, Daniela. Sixth position, Saralyn. Seventh position, Fritz. Eighth position, Evelyn. Ninth position, Ricky. And the 10th position, Lesson. Congratulations all. Congratulations to all our top 10 participants. You'll get your certificate after the program on our Facebook page. So now we'll go to our Q&A session. After the video, we'll come back again. Welcome again. This is our Q&A session. So, my dear participants, you can ask your desirable question on topic basis to our speaker. Welcome them.
Thank you.
So, ask your question in our comment section. We pick the question, and our speaker, honorable speaker, give the answer. Dear participants, we are waiting for your question. So here is our first question from A.K. Adhikar. A successful educator must be a psychologist. Why?
Sorry, successful,
Educator
what did you say?
must be
Successful educator?
must be a psychologist. Why?
No, no, your educator does have to learn a few things about psychology, yes, and I think that is part of the educator syllabus when they are studying at the university level. But a psychologist obviously delves a lot more deeper into the mind, the body, the heart, etc., to try and find a balance. Your educator needs to focus on you being educated. And of course, you do have educators and people in the field in every school that does life skill. That if you're experiencing something, yes, they can go to this person and say they're having a problem with certain issues in life, etc. But the teacher is not the psychologist. The teacher needs to maybe get in touch with psychology to understand what to look for in a child when things go wrong, and things like that. But remember, our educators are very experienced. So, in their experience, they know what to look for in signs in a child that teaches them that something is wrong. Because when they're dealing with specific age groups that they educated to teach, they taught the developmental issues and psychology issues of that age group that they are teaching. But they are not psychologists in themselves to counsel those children. Psychologists do that on their own, and that's a different study altogether. So no, the educator is not a psychologist, but the educator is educated in the field of the age group that they are teaching, so they understand the psyche of those children.
Thank you, ma'am. Dear participants, ask your question based on our today's topic, the minds of our educators today, to our speaker. And please mention our speaker's name. Dear participants, we are still waiting for your question. Dear participants, we are still waiting for a question, so ask your question based on today's topic to our speakers in comment section. Yes. Here is our next question from Abdul Fatai. Thank you, Professor, for the wonderful presentation. Can a person who doesn't have educational qualification but have it in other disciplines like social science become a good educator?
Thank you for your question. I think right now everybody in the world is an educator at some level because of what we have endured. One of the things that I really teach and I learn myself is that your life's lesson, your social science, and your life's lesson is something that you can teach others. When we're talking about educators, the educator within a school environment, the educator in a tertiary environment, each one is trained in a specific way to handle and to teach manner. And there are mannerisms in the education system with each governmental organization that is required, that is administrative, which you need to just acquaint yourself with. But I do believe that if you are somebody who has a social science background, maybe you will be able to be an educator in the field of life issues or life skills issues within a school environment, because every school right now does have um, that field or that department that deals with life sciences, life issues, life orientation. I'm not sure what it's called across the world, but every school needs to have somebody who teaches the guidance of life and life issues and life orientation. So if you have the social sciences background, you would obviously have a background that deals with psychology, how to deal with life, coping strategies, coaching. You can get involved in the school system in that way. So please do go ahead to help the educator system in that way. Yes.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am, for this valuable answer to our participants. And the question is from Abdullah Fatani. We're still waiting. Next question, once again from A.K. Adhikari. He said, when a psychologist become an educator, the results become more positive. Is this correct?
We need to understand the different roles psychologists play and an educator plays. For example, if you have to go through to an educator is educated in a specific age group within which they teach. When you're going to study at university level, you are asked which phase of education you would like to study in, which phase you would like to teach in. So you decide, is it going to be the junior phase, the intermediary phase, or the high phase? Then you would know which age groups those are. Within the syllabus that you study to become an educator in that age group, you obviously do learn specific psychological issues necessary for you to understand the children in that specific age group you are going to teach. Which is why you are asked at the outset as an educator, which phase of education would you like? The psychologist has to understand a lot more in terms of the mind, mindfulness, psychology. The psychologist can enter the educational field, but from a separate entity completely. I, for example, as a therapist, will go into a school and I will teach and lecture the educators, children in different age groups about the mind, about life, and I would coach them about specific things about life, which the educator cannot do because the educator is dealing with massive different other subjects, not merely only psychology. The psychologist, however, is dealing with massive issues dealing with psychology and what is linked to it. The educator is dealing with other subjects. For example, an educator today might be dealing mathematics, accounting, and science. Another educator might be dealing with English as a language, another secondary language, and maybe social studies. The educators are dealing with other subjects that they are coping with, won't be able to deal with psychology. But yes, when they are studying and choosing which phase they want to educate in, when they want to finish studying to be an educator, they have to select that age group or which phase that belongs to, and they will then study the psyche and psychology of that child. Which is why the educator today is able to identify when a child that they are teaching is not doing so well, not coping so well, or might have a problem. But they don't then give therapy to the child. They then send the child a message to to a parent and get outside psychological help to help the child because they have to deal with the subjects they have to teach and educate on. So there's different roles, different ways of teaching, and definitely different ways of studying if you want to be a psychologist and if you want to be the educator.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Dear participants, we are still waiting. If you have any question on our today topic based, please go to our comment section and ask to our speaker. Okay, here is our next question from Cherry. Good afternoon, Professor. Due to a pandemic where students have a little chance to develop socialization among peers, is it a failure on the side of educator if she failed to encourage quiet students to participate in online activities? I think it's activities.
Okay. Well, thank you for the question. I'm trying to understand what the question is about. Is it related to whether you are encouraging children to do online activities?
Yes, ma'am. Activities, yes. She correct in comment.
Okay. Well, thank you for the question. Remember that this pandemic had come at a point where none of us were prepared. Educators were not prepared. Educators were trained to be in a classroom with a chalkboard, with chalk in a hand, write, etc., etc. Some teachers had never been privy to knowing how to do anything online themselves, let alone teach online. So, if, for example, you had a teacher who had been teaching for 38 years, this is just a hypothetical example. They have never had to deal with technology the way we had to push them to suddenly deal with it because they had to suddenly do a Zoom class with a child. They had to prepare how to teach the child online. They might have found discomfort with that because they're so used to dealing with the child face to face. So if an educator had to feel, listen, I am now compelled because of the pandemic, I will do this, but I won't encourage it because it's not for me good, then that is the educator's right to feel that they're not comfortable to do it because they have never had to do it before. Children, however, remember our children of today are very technologically advanced, so they don't mind doing things online. It's a lot easier for them sometimes. But for an educator, it could have been challenging because that's not something they were trained to do. We have never been trained to do many things. We have always been used to doing face to face and interactions, etc., etc. The pandemic has pushed us all out of it. So, if an educator had suddenly felt that they would not want to encourage activities that are online, then we need to also ask them a few other questions. If it is safe to be face to face with your students, then of course you don't need online. But if it is still not safe, then you need to acquaint yourself with how to make it a little bit easier and encourage yourself and other educators and children so that the educational level keeps going. And let's face it, we love to learn. Let us become lifelong learners. Technology is here to stay. I am not myself technologically advanced, but I learn. So we learn every day and try to become more subservient to realize that if we have to do online activities, find what is good in the online activity. Try and find something positive about the online activity and then share that with yourself, share that with those around you, and try and find the positiveness in it. I'm hoping that I did answer what the question was. Thank you again.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Our next question from Evelyn Bateri. Good afternoon, ma'am. What can you recommend to job seekers that will be an educator in the future? Thank you.
Good afternoon. Thank you for the question. Firstly, I think wherever you are in the world, you need to identify in your area, in your community with education, what is needed in the educational sector, which phase of education do you like to teach? How do you rather communicate with children when they are teenagers? Are you able to rather want to teach those that are in university level? So identify with what you relate to in terms of where you'd like to teach, which age group, and then you focus on that and try and see if you want to be an educator. Remember, it is not just about to going to teach a subject. From what I spoke about earlier, educators have suddenly taken on a different role. It's not just a teacher role. They teach, yes, but they teach multiple subjects because they cater for some teachers who are not there. And then they also have to take on the roles of being guardians. They take on the roles of taking time to talk to the children. If you are somebody that orientated and think you are willing to also grow with the times as teachers are doing today, then yes, look into it. But look into what is your field of knowledge, what is your field of expertise, what do you love to teach? Is it a language? Is it a subject? Is it arithmetic? That's something that is more related to science. So there's a lot of things that you need to break down to try and understand whether you would be good at being an educator and the sector of education you would fit in best. So good luck to you, and I'm hoping you would find your answer.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you for your lovely response. We're still waiting for our next question. I think previous session is very interesting and brilliant session in our whole program. I found it.
Absolutely. It's very good because then you also know whether you have reached the audience, and then you know that the audience is keen on what you have said. So they want to know certain things and they want to learn more. It's very good.
No new question. Fine. So thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much for giving your valuable answer to our participants. And it is very lovely to meet you here. And thanks again.
Yes. Thank you again to IGP, and thank you to you, Nasreen ma'am. You are such an amazing moderator, and it was a pleasure to be with you. Thank you very much again to everybody and to all of the participants as well. Thank you, IGP. And again, thank you, Nasreen ma'am. I really appreciate it. Very well
Thank
done.
you so
Thank you
much,
so much.
ma'am. Thank you so much. Have a good day. Dear participants, uh, so our Q&A session is end here, and our today's program name is. And our today's program name is The Minds of Our Educators Today. And the code is IGP3945. And the code is IGP3945. Without code, you cannot get your certificates. And to get your certificates, you have to go to our website address. Our website address is www.igpedu.com. I repeat again, to get your certificates, you have to give the code, and the code is IGP3945. To get your certificates, you have to go to our website address. Our website address is www.igpedu.com. So go to our website address and download your certificates. And don't forget to celebrate with us. Till then, stay happy, stay healthy. Have a good day.